Ladies and gentlemen, why men ignore women they actually like. It sounds completely irrational, doesn't it? If a man truly likes a woman, why would he take hours to reply, avoid making the first move, cancel plans, or suddenly become distant? Most women assume there's only one explanation: he isn't interested. So they begin pulling away, overthinking every conversation or blaming themselves for something they may have never done. But human psychology is often more complicated than it appears. The truth is that sometimes people don't ignore someone because they feel nothing. Sometimes they ignore someone because they feel too much. Attraction can create confidence, but it can also create fear. Think about your own life. Have you ever cared so much about someone's opinion that you became nervous around them? You overthought your words, replayed conversations in your mind, and worried about making mistakes. Men experience similar emotions, even if they don't always express them. Society often teaches men that they must appear confident, emotionally controlled, and unaffected. Admitting vulnerability can feel risky. So instead of moving closer, some men create distance to protect themselves from rejection. Ironically, the woman they like the most may become the woman they communicate with the least, because every interaction suddenly feels important. Another reason some men appear to ignore women they like is fear of losing control. Attraction creates uncertainty, and uncertainty makes people uncomfortable. A man who is normally confident may suddenly question himself. He wonders if he sounds interesting enough, successful enough, or attractive enough. Instead of risking embarrassment, he waits. He tells himself he'll text tomorrow, then tomorrow becomes next week. Meanwhile, the woman interprets his silence as rejection, while he interprets his own hesitation as caution. Two people may genuinely like each other while both believe the other has lost interest. This misunderstanding happens far more often than most people realize. Another factor is emotional timing. Sometimes a man meets someone he genuinely likes during a stressful period of his life. He may be overwhelmed by work, family responsibilities, financial pressure, or personal struggles. He knows he cannot give the attention or consistency a relationship deserves, so he withdraws instead of communicating honestly. This doesn't automatically mean he doesn't care. However, it also doesn't mean someone should wait indefinitely hoping circumstances will change. Feelings may explain behavior, but they don't erase the importance of consistent effort. Many women also mistake emotional inconsistency for hidden love stories. They believe that because a man acts distant, there must be deep emotions underneath. Sometimes that's true. Many times it isn't. That's why actions over time matter more than isolated moments. A man who likes you but occasionally becomes quiet may still consistently show respect, effort, and reliability. A man who disappears for weeks, returns only when convenient, and avoids accountability is communicating something very different. Another uncomfortable truth is that some men fear success as much as failure. When they meet someone they genuinely admire, the possibility of a real relationship becomes intimidating. Suddenly the stakes feel higher. Casual flirting is easy because nothing significant is at risk. But building a meaningful connection requires emotional investment. It requires honesty, vulnerability, and responsibility. Some men retreat because they fear they won't meet expectations. They worry about disappointing someone they value. Instead of risking failure, they create distance that feels safer. Of course, none of this means women should chase someone who repeatedly ignores them. Understanding psychology should create clarity, not excuses. One of the biggest mistakes many women make is believing they can heal someone's fears through greater effort. They send longer messages, become more available, lower their standards, and hope patience will eventually create commitment. But attraction cannot survive when one person carries all the emotional weight. Healthy relationships require mutual investment. Confidence also plays an unexpected role. Many emotionally secure women assume that if a man likes them, he'll naturally communicate. Often that's true. But some men struggle with insecurity that has nothing to do with the woman herself. Past rejection, childhood experiences, failed relationships, or fear of vulnerability may shape how they respond to attraction. Their silence reflects their internal battle rather than your value. The danger is making someone else's uncertainty your personal identity. The moment you connect your self-worth to another person's attention, every delayed reply becomes a judgment of your value instead of simply information about their behavior. Real confidence works differently. It allows you to acknowledge that someone may genuinely like you while also recognizing that feelings alone do not build healthy relationships. Consistency does. Communication does. Effort does. Respect does. Another reason some men seem distant is that they believe showing too much interest too early will make them appear desperate. Modern dating advice often encourages emotional games, telling people to wait before replying, avoid double texting, or appear less interested than they really are. As a result, two people who genuinely enjoy each other may spend weeks pretending they care less than they actually do. Both wait for the other to make a move while unnecessary distance grows between them. This is why mature relationships are built on honesty rather than strategy. The strongest women understand an important principle: you can empathize with someone's fears without sacrificing your own standards. You can understand why someone struggles while still expecting healthy communication. You can recognize that a man may genuinely like you and still decide that inconsistent behavior does not meet your emotional needs. Those two ideas can exist at the same time. At the end of the day, the question isn't whether he secretly likes you. The question is whether his actions create the kind of relationship you deserve. Hidden feelings cannot build trust by themselves. Silent attraction cannot replace consistent effort. Real love is not measured by mysterious behavior or confusing signals. It is measured by honesty, reliability, and the willingness to show up when it matters. So if a man ignores you, don't immediately assume you're not enough. But don't automatically assume it's proof of deep, hidden feelings either. Observe the pattern, value your peace, and remember this: the right person won't leave you spending months decoding silence when they have the ability to communicate with clarity. And this is where many women accidentally become trapped inside a story that exists only in their imagination. They stop paying attention to reality and start paying attention to possibility. They tell themselves, maybe he's scared because he likes me too much. Maybe he's waiting for the right moment. Maybe he's testing me. While these explanations are possible, they should never become automatic conclusions. The healthiest mindset is not to invent reasons, but to observe behavior. Because attraction without action creates confusion, and confusion is not a strong foundation for a healthy relationship. One of the biggest misunderstandings in modern dating is the belief that complicated emotions automatically create deep love. Movies often teach us that distance means passion, mixed signals mean chemistry, and emotional struggle means destiny. Real life is usually much simpler. People who are emotionally available tend to make their interest known over time. They may not be perfect. They may get busy, make mistakes, or communicate differently than you expect. But their overall pattern creates security rather than constant anxiety. Another important truth is that fear of rejection affects men more than many people realize. From a young age, many men are taught that their value is connected to success. Rejection can feel like proof that they are inadequate, so they avoid situations where failure seems possible. If they truly admire a woman, the fear of losing that opportunity can become overwhelming. Ironically, asking out someone they care deeply about may feel more difficult than talking casually with someone they have little emotional investment in. This explains some behavior, but it should never become an excuse for endless inconsistency. Healthy relationships require courage from both people. Another reason a man may seem to ignore a woman he likes is because he assumes she has better options. He sees her confidence, intelligence, or beauty and convinces himself she would never choose him. Instead of taking a chance, he protects his ego by doing nothing. He interprets his silence as self-protection, while she interprets his silence as lack of interest. Two people may spend months wondering what could have happened if one honest conversation had taken place. This is why assumptions are so dangerous. They create stories that feel real, but may have no connection to reality. Modern dating has also created an environment where people are constantly comparing themselves to others. Social media presents endless images of seemingly perfect lives and relationships. A man may look at your achievements, your lifestyle, or the attention you receive online and believe he cannot compete. Rather than risk feeling inadequate, he distances himself emotionally. Again, this reflects his own insecurity rather than your worth, but regardless of the reason, you cannot build a relationship with someone's potential. You can only build one with their actions. Many women also underestimate how much emotional timing influences relationships. Sometimes two good people meet at the wrong stage of life. One is ready for commitment while the other is focused on healing, career goals, or personal struggles. Attraction exists, but readiness does not. Unfortunately, attraction alone cannot overcome emotional unavailability. Feelings may open the door, but commitment requires stability, communication, and shared intention. Another mistake is believing that patience has no limits. Patience is healthy when both people are moving forward together. Patience becomes harmful when one person waits while the other provides no direction, no effort, and no clarity. There is a difference between giving someone reasonable space and putting your own life on hold indefinitely. Self-respect means recognizing that your future should not depend on someone else's uncertainty. Some men also confuse emotional independence with emotional distance. They believe showing affection will make them appear weak or too invested. So they intentionally reply late, avoid compliments, or hide their excitement. They think mystery creates attraction. In reality, excessive emotional withholding often creates misunderstanding rather than desire. The strongest relationships are not built by pretending to care less. They are built by expressing genuine interest while maintaining healthy boundaries. Another uncomfortable truth is that some people enjoy being admired more than they enjoy building relationships. They appreciate attention because it boosts their confidence, but they avoid responsibility because responsibility requires effort. In these situations, occasional messages, compliments, or moments of affection may keep hope alive while meaningful progress never occurs. That's why consistency matters so much. A single romantic moment cannot outweigh months of emotional uncertainty. Real interest reveals itself repeatedly through dependable actions. The strongest women understand that their goal is not to convince someone to choose them. Their goal is to discover whether someone is capable of choosing them willingly and consistently. This mindset changes everything. Instead of asking, "How do I make him stop ignoring me?" they begin asking, "Does his behavior align with the kind of relationship I want?" That question shifts the focus from earning love to evaluating compatibility. Emotional maturity means accepting that attraction and compatibility are not the same thing. Someone can genuinely like you and still be emotionally unavailable. Someone can admire you and still lack the communication skills needed for a healthy relationship. Someone can have strong feelings and still not be the right partner for your future. Understanding this protects you from spending years chasing potential instead of reality. The healthiest relationships are surprisingly calm. They don't require constant decoding of messages, endless analysis of social media activity, or late night conversations with friends trying to interpret mixed signals. They create clarity more often than confusion. They allow both people to feel respected, valued, and emotionally safe. So the next time you wonder why a man seems to ignore a woman he actually likes, remember that there may be many psychological reasons behind his behavior. Fear, insecurity, poor timing, emotional immaturity, or personal struggles can all influence his actions. But your responsibility is not to solve those problems for him. Your responsibility is to protect your own peace, maintain your standards, and pay attention to patterns rather than possibilities. Because at the end of the day, the right relationship won't require you to become an expert at interpreting silence. It will allow you to experience something much more valuable: honesty, consistency, mutual effort, and the confidence that you never have to question where you truly stand.